PAX East edition.
Yeah.
That's right, folks. We did decide that we were going to be doing an episode on PAX East.
Mostly because Madelyn got here and we were like, by Saturday night, we will not be lucid, yeah. And we want to give the games the attention and detail that they deserve. So
tune in for the normal episode next week. But
yes.
This week, we've got an awesome recap of everything that we learned about and played about and walked about at PAX.
We did a lot of walking.
We did do a lot of walking. That is a big part. We did a lot of walking. We did a lot of hand sanitizing.
Heck yeah, everybody had hand sanitizer.
Who didn't? Annapurna did not have hand sanitizer, despite the fact that the guy was wearing a face mask.
They had it at some places. I think they're just not at the desk.
Not at the display computer.
Because they had it at the other game we played at that booth.
I guess you're right. If Found?
I've Found, yep. That one. But we're not talking about games first. We're starting a little bit with general PAX impressions. Don't worry. So far as we're aware, we did not catch the coronavirus.
Not that we would know at this point, I think.
I guess not.
So tune in next week to find out if either of us has a highly contagious virus.
I seriously doubt that we caught it.
Yes.
How about that?
We were very good about hand sanitizing. Mom is not listening, but Mom, we wash our hands a lot. This was our second year at PAX. You might remember if you're a long-time listener, or a medium-time listener, I guess, in the history of this podcast now.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but I feel like we did a better job this year. Emma, do you have any sort of tips for PAX goers for next year, for things to bear in mind?
If there's a big demo you want, you should do that. Go there first. And Thursday.
You will not get to go if it is any other day.
Unless you get there way early, but you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And also, maybe have a disease outbreak going on, you know?
I don't really feel like it seems significantly less crowded.
Yeah. But yeah, we got there like 9-ish on Thursday and waited in the expo line inside and went straight to the Final Fantasy VII booth and got demo tickets.
And I think that everyone should do their demos for their highly anticipated games the way that Square Enix did.
Yeah. I didn't mind the way PlayStation did it either.
Yeah, it's true. Last year,
yeah. So Square Enix handed out actual demo tickets in that you go there physically and you pick it up. And what PlayStation did last year and what Nintendo sort of did this year was you get a slot
by signing up in the app.
Yeah, or online, basically.
Yeah.
The issue with Nintendo is that their windows were somewhat large, and it was unclear, like, the Final Fantasy VII tickets were like, arrive within this time.
Yeah. Not
before. Whereas Nintendo was like, you'll be playing within this time. And so everybody at the 3 o'clock window showed up at like 2:30.
Presumably.
I assume so.
Because we were pretty far back in line, arriving at about 3:05.
Yeah.
No, we were there before 3.
Yeah.
That was exaggeration. We got there at 2:50.
Yeah.
But we didn't spend too much crazy time waiting in lines. I mean, it really does seem like the era of having people just wait in endless lines is sort of done.
Yeah.
Now it's the era of you have to get there very early to sign up, or you have to be online at the time to sign up.
Yeah.
And sign up. But for me, I vastly prefer that to waiting in a 2-hour line.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because I got to play all the big demos this year. I mean, partially I am just saying that because of that. But I'm also saying it because, man, if I had to wait in a 2-hour line for Final Fantasy, I wouldn't have played it.
Yeah.
I would have skulked around and tried to watch part of the demo and realized, oh, okay, I get what this is. I'll play it when the game comes out, and left it alone.
Yeah. And also it just gets to be like, even like the merch lines that were very long, and they had to cap them, and they were just capped all the time, which crowds up the expo hall as well. Mm-hmm. Like, the nice thing about this is there was a very self-contained line, not necessarily for Nintendo, but certainly at the Square Enix booth for the demo.
And we'll talk about our worst line experience later in the episode.
Yeah.
our line experience from heck.
Yeah. But we're thinking about next year maybe, like, taking a break on Saturday and doing the Sunday instead. Because we went to Thursday, Friday, Saturday last year and this year. But Saturday, you really...
You're pretty dead.
You're pretty dead, especially if you waited in a line the day before.
Forever. We'll get there, listeners. We'll get there. But yeah, doing 3 days in a row is pretty exhausting. And also, Friday and Saturday are definitely the busiest days. Now, there is something fun about going on Saturday, because there's way more cosplay, and you get to see everyone dressed as Champ McDude.
Yeah.
Literally everyone. You get to verify Yusuke erasure.
There's no Yusuke's.
We don't understand it. His
Why?
costume is just as easy.
Please dress as Fox next year, cosplayers.
We just want to see one.
Just one.
Just one
We
Fox,
saw one
please.
of everybody else.
At least.
There
were fewer ons this year. There were a lot of ons last year.
Yeah. But we even saw one Haru.
Yeah. If someone is there as Haru, we can get one Yusuke.
Yeah, come on now.
But yeah, as you might expect, I mean, a lot of Persona, which sort of surprised me, because it sort of felt like, I guess the new one is coming out soon, but...
I mean, Joker from Smash Bros.
Yeah, you're right. My mistake.
I don't know what this Persona is that you're talking about, really.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that was... What am I even talking about? We saw a lot of Isabel's.
Yeah.
That was not surprising to me.
Saw a lot of Danganronpa.
That was a surprise.
It was a little surprising. I mean, I assume it's relatively popular cosplay, but, like, I don't remember seeing any Danganronpa last year. And there were a lot this year.
Fair number of Byleths, also from Smash.
Yep, fair number of Edelgards.
Yeah.
And
Smattering of Dimitris.
And Claudes.
Yeah.
I didn't see any other characters, only the main ones.
A lot of mysterious fantasy characters.
Yep. Probably from some fantasy games.
Not as many Final Fantasy VII cosplays as I expected.
Yes,
I thought it was going to be everywhere.
We saw a lot of Aeriths today, and one Cloud, and one Tifa.
No, I think there might have been 2 Tifas.
I only saw the very attractive one.
If you were the very attractive Tifa, we saw you.
I just think it takes a lot of guts to pull off the Tifa.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A lot of Dekus for some reason.
Yeah, bizarre number of Dekus.
Yes.
And a ball guy.
And a ball guy. Shout out to ball guy.
You did a good cosplay, ball guy. And Elsa from Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yes. And Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh, and sorry, this is turning into just a cosplay list, everybody. My apologies. But we saw a fair number of Sam Bridges.
Yep.
Sometimes with baby, sometimes without baby.
I don't think they count as real cosplay if they did not bring the BB.
I agree. A fair number of Mandalorians.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also not really the PAX vibe.
Yeah.
But one had an actual baby. Baby Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a fair number of genuine Baby Yodas.
Yeah.
Which I can support. So that's the cosplay roundup. I went as the girl Pokemon trainer. Emma went as Hip.
Half of Hip.
Hip without pants.
I wore pants. I just wore normal jeans.
Hip could wear normal jeans.
Yeah, but then he wouldn't be hip.
Yeah, you're right.
His pink pants are his staple.
I forgot about that. I forgot that the pink pants are the hip thing. Well, any other big tips for PAX? Remember your badges.
Take some quiet time for yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're in the expo hall for too long, especially for me, it just starts to blur, like, everything.
Yeah.
So sitting down and actually eating lunch somewhere and taking breaks is good. Going to a couple panels.
Yeah. You probably only need one water ice, Italian ice, for the two of you.
Yeah.
Assuming. I mean, for germ reasons, you might want to get your own, but you probably only need one. They're hefty.
They are some hefty Italian ices.
And you're not going to get Nintendo merch.
No.
So you probably shouldn't try.
Maybe Thursday morning.
Yeah, if
that's
it had
what you
really
wanna...
gone right there. Yeah.
We could have made, like, a quick, like, grab the demo ticket, run to the merch booth.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, Emma, do you want to talk a little bit about the panels we went to?
Sure. So on Thursday, we went to one panel. We went to Narrative Innovation in the 2010s. Generally, my impression of these panels, and this is what I remember the impression being last year, too, is just they're not long enough.
Yeah, they spend so much time having to introduce the topic.
And themselves.
That they don't have to... And it's hard, right? Because, of course, people are coming to PAX with varying levels of familiarity with different games. But it's just... They're never able to get into things to a depth that makes them feel especially satisfying.
Yeah. So Narrative Innovation, all the panelists chose one game to talk about and sort of highlight the ways that it has innovated narratively. Which we were sort of hoping it would be more of like a year-to-year basis sort of thing, looking at general trends.
Well, they called it a retrospective,
yeah.
Which I think made it fair that I would assume that it was, more of a let's go through year by year and see how things changed, as opposed to let's have 5 panelists tell us a game they liked.
Yeah, but I think everybody generally did a good job expressing what was important about that game, and they picked interesting ones and ones that made a certain amount of sense as well.
I mean, if you've been listening to Talk This Podcast, you might know that narrative in games began with The Last of Us. And bizarrely, nobody talked about that, even though the second game with a narrative is coming out this year, The Last of Us 2.
There have been no other narrative games.
Not a one.
Then we went to Beyond Hit Points on Friday, which was a little bit about health in and around games. Mm-hmm. So we talked a little bit about how Sam Bridges is going to break his back, but has a good sleeping habits.
Yeah.
Except for his
posture and sleep. His sleep hygiene is pretty good.
Yes.
In that he has a consistent routine and a quiet place, and he does the same thing over and over, and that facilitates good sleep. But yeah, he's not carrying stuff close enough to his center of gravity.
Yes. And then talked a little bit about differing mental health representation
in games. Featuring my Stardew husband, Shane.
Yes. Every time people talk about episode 2 of Life is Strange, it's just, that game is so very, it's very sincere, but it's also very flawed, right? If you've done the gaminess of Life is Strange, which is you've touched everything in her room while she's in there watching you, and discovered everything about her, it's super easy to game her off, because you know exactly what's happening, and stuff like that. So that example, although it is interesting to think about it, of the actual words you're saying being somewhat of a mental first aid type thing. So that perspective was interesting.
I also think that maybe I've just heard Take This at panels too many times between PAX and Games for Change, because I'm now, they've made me conscious of the fact that many games use insanity meters and use terminology that appropriates mental illness to be synonymous with evil, and I'm now at the point where it's okay, yes, but tell me something else. Important, and for many people in the room, not their third or fourth time hearing that at a panel. Yeah. And for me, it's okay, can we talk about something else, though?
Yeah.
In games?
I was hoping that there would be a little bit more talk about, healthy behaviors that someone who plays games could partake in. What sort of stretches could I be doing to make sure, how can I check my posture when I'm sitting to make sure that I'm having good posture and not killing my back or whatever.
Should I be eating this many snacks while in a 2/3 reclining position?
Probably not.
Again, with both of these panels we've talked about so far, I think the issue more came with us expecting something different than what the panel was really about. So whoever's writing those panel descriptions, it's someone on that panel, each of those panels, you need to just be more descriptive.
Yeah.
You sold us on it, but we did not know what we were getting ourselves into. Both of them were good. Both, I wasn't angry about them. I'm coming across very angry. But yeah, with both of those, I was oh, this is not what I wanted this to be about exactly.
And then we went to 2 on Saturday, of which we tried our best to listen while fighting through sleep. I was taking notes on all of these, and every sentence I typed started as
Through no fault of the panelists. Yeah. I actually think these were my 2. I like these 2 panels the best. Yeah. We were just quite tired.
We were quite tired. But we talked about, looked at the future of adventure games at the first panel we went to, which was interesting.
That was the one panel that I thought actually got into things that were a little bit more than surface level.
Yeah.
Because they didn't waste time explaining to me what an adventure game was, really, which was appreciated. Even though I'm not very into adventure games, as everyone knows who's listened to this podcast. But especially if you've listened to the Grim Fandango episode.
Yeah.
But I appreciated that they didn't baby me with, let's spend 10 minutes explaining what an adventure game is. Which actually seemed like something that they would not have wanted to do anyway.
Yeah.
Given their discussion of the breadth of the genre.
Yeah. But it talks a little bit about how players these days are more interested in immersion and story and atmosphere than they necessarily are in solving puzzles.
Yep.
And it can be hard to design puzzles anyway, because as soon as the player gets frustrated, they're either putting the game down and leaving it, or they're opening up Google on their phone to look up how to do it. So you want the puzzles to be, like, interesting to solve. You know, you never want to get to a point where it's like, I swear I've tried combining every object in my inventory.
Yeah.
It's not working. So there's more of a thought process behind designing puzzles now. I also thought them talking about, like, what does the puzzle say about your character, right? Like, are you using your character's skills to incorporate into the puzzles? And the different ways that you can actually do that if you're thinking about it.
Well, I thought that tied nicely into a discussion that we were having, not about that panel, about having interests that were not video games.
Yeah.
Because it seemed to me that some of what hampered these designers in more fully utilizing the professions or special skills of their protagonists, at least in the case of the guy on the left, was like just not knowing what it would be.
Yeah.
He was talking about a game he designed where the protagonist was a mechanic.
Yeah.
And he was like, he was saying, like, oh, we should be using these, and I'm a terrible example because I had this game, and he only ever fixes something in a dream, and it's like, you touch
she
it.
Only fixes something
and you touch it, it's like, oh, it's fixed.
Yeah.
So, definitely some of it comes down to the research element.
Yeah.
Or an interest element, too.
I mean, especially if you're going to be writing stuff for games, it's important to have other interests besides games. Because you have to make a world and characters that do something other than game. In most cases.
I was surprised that they weren't super, super enthusiastic, at least at first, about VR.
Yeah.
I mean, they're right that the technology really isn't there yet. But it seems to me that VR is the only way that I would be interested in playing a modern adventure game.
I guess so.
Not the only way. That's harsh. But you could definitely talk me into one of these games being much more interesting as a VR adventure at this point than as a, oh, you've made a point-and-click adventure.
That's a funny thing to say as someone who's never going to buy a VR headset.
That's true, but I will be much more interested in following the press around the game.
Okay.
Who knows? If VR headsets get cheap and I someday live in an apartment that has space for one, I know you'll never buy one.
Yeah.
That's not true. You'll buy one in 10 years when you have to have one. Come on.
And then we talked about cozy and wholesome games in the other panel on Saturday. I thought it was interesting to talk about, like, wholesome versus cozy, in that wholesome is more of, like, a holistic experience, whereas cozy can be something that is just a feeling that you get in various games in terms of being familiar.
Cozy as be feeling safe and familiar was interesting. I hadn't really thought about it in that specific of a sense before.
Yeah. And also, like, I've heard this take before, but also just, like, interest in wholesome games because they represent the way that we want the world to be. Mm-hmm. Like Animal Crossing, like, you can just have a house and pay it off by running around and catching bugs.
Yep.
You know, like, that's a nice way for the world to be. I don't really want to catch bugs, but you get my
fishing then.
Yeah, you
Fossils.
get my You get my gist. And it can be also, like, in the aesthetics, but also in the things that you do, and the way that the characters act, and the ultimate message of the game, right? And they gave us a bunch of examples that I would have to look up. I did have someone said Death Stranding has some elements of coziness because everyone's always thanking you. I find the people thanking me in Death Stranding to be kind of weird and clingy.
That explains a lot about you.
But I don't find that on, like, Animal Crossing neighbors or anything like that. Like, I should show you one of, like, the emails that Sam gets sent. Like, there are, like, at least 15 smiley faces and 30 hearts in each one.
Yeesh.
Like, from, like,
professional
people sending it to the mailman. It's just a lot of emoticons.
I thought for sure when they brought up Death Stranding, it was going to be about BB.
Yeah.
That was going to be the cozy factor, the caring for the baby.
I suppose caring for the baby is somewhat cozy. And the safe houses are somewhat like your space.
Yeah.
But, like, the actual people do not really make me feel cozy.
Anyway, the big takeaway from the panels for me is that everybody wants me to get back into Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Which is dangerous.
I
played a lot of Stardew Valley those couple of months that I was playing a lot of Stardew Valley.
You gotta wait for Animal Crossing at this point.
I know. I'm just afraid that my boyfriend is going to do all the work in our town for me.
I wonder how it'll work, like, if things will load back when you go in, you know?
I don't think so, because when you played multiplayer, the follower players, like, their stuff goes into the recycle bin.
Yeah, but you wouldn't, if you weren't playing multiplayer.
I guess so.
Like, you have 2 separate houses, right?
You do, yeah.
So I think that maybe it would still, like, things would be back. Because if you had, like, 4 players and someone did all the stuff, then that wouldn't facilitate the play.
Or the coziness in your home.
Yeah, so it's like, if you're playing together, yeah, like, it goes to the leader. But if you are playing on your own and just happen to share the town, I bet there's some system in place.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Animal Crossing, you want to talk about all the games that we played?
Sure. I mean, this is on you. I took the notes on the panels. You took all the pictures of the games.
Yeah, so to try to remember all the games that we played this time, I tried to take pictures. I think I got most of them. So on Thursday, just to recap our experience, we arrived. We went and grabbed our Final Fantasy tickets. We were, like, in line. We were like, let's check and make sure the line's not too long. And it was like a 30-second line. Yeah. And she was just handing out the tickets. Yeah. So did that, and then waltzed on over to, I think it was Double Fine, right?
Yeah, yeah.
To play Samurai Gun 2.
Yeah.
Did not know there was a Samurai Gun. That was news to me. I actually have the blurb pictured on this one, so I can read it. Adventure with a friend through a medieval metropolis on the brink of crisis. Fight or fly past your foes to discover the mystery behind Gun City's ghostly threat. Or battle together with a group of 2 to 4 friends in versus mode with improved controls, new levels, and new characters. So that's what we did. We did not have the option to play the co-op adventure, although you know at Talk This, we love a good co-op adventure.
Yeah, that's what the blurb is what makes me more interested in actually looking it up after this, because the versus mode was fun, but also we had no idea what was happening.
Yeah. It was fine. It had a Smash Bros-esque feel. Yeah. It's a little more stylized. You're kind of fought with samurai swords or with guns.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what my gun was really for.
Yeah. Well, shooting, presumably.
Yeah, but if I could just hit you with one sword swipe, why would I bother shooting you with little air pellets?
And the scoring was not perfectly clear.
Yeah.
We were about to give up and be like, okay, we've had enough.
I bet it would be, like, I'm sure it was, like, set up already so that you could just get in as fast as possible.
Fair enough. Anyway, we enjoyed Samurai Gun 2. It was a good start to the day. Nice low-key start. Yep. So after that, Emma played and I watched some of Wintermore Tactics Club, which is a story about surviving high school with gameplay inspired by tactics, RPGs, and visual novels. So basically in this game, it takes the RPG turn-based combat of, like, a Fire Emblem and combines it with a school simulator. Yeah. Sort of like a Persona, seemingly, maybe. And yeah, as opposed to being like an actual war, it's a war between clubs at this 80s boarding school. Yeah.
I really want there to be more school games that have something fun going on, that aren't just like, you know, visual novels. I suppose there's, like, Persona and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I want, like, normal school games,
yes.
you know? I just want games about normal kids going to high school, but with something more than, like, a visual novel going on, you know? And so that sort of scratched this itch. I'll keep an eye on it. I'm not sure it immediately grabbed me in the intro, but...
I appreciated the diversity of the cast.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated that it's a RPG game where nobody's gonna die, presumably.
Presumably! It did seem to indicate that things were actually happening, like, supernaturally. Like, clubs were vanishing off the face of the earth.
That is true.
So, we'd have to see.
It claims to be coming in spring of 2020 to, like, all platforms, which feels like a big reach, but maybe the game is, like, done. I just haven't heard about it at all. It's from EVC Games.
Cool.
Anyway, here's some pictures of Emma playing that game. That's nice. Then we watched a little bit of The Red Lantern, which is a game about dog sleds in Alaska.
Yep.
We mostly watched it for the dogs.
Yep.
Dogs appeared to be very good.
Yep.
Sometimes they would roll around in the snow and didn't want to move.
Yeah. It was a bit of like an Oregon Trail, but with dogs.
Yeah, it did feel like an Oregon Trail, but with dogs. You hunt squirrels and stuff. Although the woman who was at the booth seemed to be talking about how you could sort of choose not to hunt the squirrels, and maybe that would have been a good choice for some reason.
Well, small, probably.
Oh,
she used, like, her bullet on a tiny squirrel.
Right, well, she used several bullets, the person we were watching. But, yeah. So that one we just watched a little bit. We were going to play, but it was taking too long. And then next, we played Moving Out.
Yeah. Which
is the new game from SMG, Devon Games, and Team 17. Which is, if you may have heard of this one, if you enjoy Overcooked. It's sort of the new Overcooked, where instead of cooking, because presumably they've got to be almost out of ideas for Overcooked at this point.
Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe. I don't know. But in this game, as opposed to cooking things and yelling at your friends, you move things out of houses and yell at your friends.
Pivot!
Pivot! Yeah, it's a friends simulator, literally. I really enjoyed Moving Out. Moving Out was one of my favorites.
Yeah,
that we played.
I had a lot of fun with that.
We played with 4 people. So me and Emma, and then 2 strangers, who fortunately were pretty capable.
Yeah.
I appreciated that. That would have been really bad.
Capable and communicative.
Exactly. So. That would have been really bad to get matched with someone who was bad.
Yeah.
On a demo.
Yeah.
That's not the designed audience for that game.
But we got a great time on the first one, won some plushes, and then we did it okay on the second one.
Yeah, so our first one was just, we had at first picked the hardest level.
And he was like,
the guy came over and he
sure?
was like, do you really want to do this? And we were like, yeah. And he was like, do you really want to do this? And we were like, no.
No.
So we did the easy level and aced that one, mostly because Emma and I were on all the 2-player furniture.
Yeah.
And could work together.
Yeah.
And got our lovely little box plushes that I don't know what I'm going to do with.
They're cute.
They are cute. Just my apartment is cute. And then we played one that was sort of like Frogger.
Yeah.
Which was fun. I enjoyed the puzzle of that one.
Really, we got screwed up at the end because you have to load everything into a truck that has limited space. Yeah. And we had not accounted for that.
Yeah, I think that's the real challenge of the game, is the truck loading.
Yeah.
To be honest. I'm going to be interested to see how this plays with 2 people. Overcooked never feels like I'm playing with the wrong number of players when I have 2.
I wonder if there's supposed to be less furniture.
You would hope so.
Or more one-person furniture.
I don't know. I've never compared how Overcooked plays. Like, surely we've played it with 3 people. We have played it with 3 people before, but I've never compared the levels. So I don't know. But it would feel like this would start to feel a little bit repetitive if it was just 2 people with these levels as they stood. Mm-hmm. But I guess I will find out, because that is a game that I will get, coming out the end of April. We initially got confused because we were playing it at a booth that wasn't Team 17, and we were like...
Yeah, I think the developers were also in the Indie Mega booth.
Yeah, so I was like, did somebody just totally rip off Overcooked? But no, it's the same people. So next up, we walked over to the Nintendo booth, and the merch line was capped, but the line for pictures was not.
Yeah.
So we hopped in line, and got to explore the little Animal Crossing world.
Just missed KK Slider.
We got to see Isabelle and Tom Nook. It seemed like
true.
there were a lot of times there was only one character in there. And so to meet both of them, pretty neat.
Pretty neat.
They cannot see
Yep.
those character actors at all,
No.
for sure. At first I wasn't totally sure, but by the end of the weekend, 100% sure they could not see.
Yeah.
They were still welcoming.
Because they would lead them on and off.
Like, you're doing great,
you
Isabelle.
did. Keep coming, Isabelle. Keep moving forward. Like, maybe they can see, like, a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
But not clear enough to really
direct
walk
themselves
on
in
their own.
any way.
Yeah.
Emma really wanted to buy, like, one of their button-downs.
Yeah. They had the workers at the Animal Crossing booth had very cute, like, the shirt that Tom Nook wears in the game.
Yeah.
Like leaf Hawaiian shirts.
But if they had sold those, it would have been chaos.
Yes. Probably.
Everyone would have worn them. Been like, who's an employee?
Me, I'm an employee.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Demo's open to everyone. Yeah, so Tom sold me a house. We'll be moving to an island shortly.
I wish.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, man, I wish. Let's live on the island. That would be great.
So that was a delight. It was not a game, but everyone is, like, crying about it online. It was fine.
People love Animal Crossing.
It was a cool booth. It was a really cool booth. I enjoyed my time there. I got some cute pictures.
You're not an Animal Crossing super fan.
I know. I'm not. Just a fan. Anyway, I'll move on from being a Grinch.
Yeah.
Next up we played If Found. We played a lot of games on Thursday, if you're not picking up on this. Really, if you want to play demos, Thursday is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many fewer people there, and really, I think even more importantly, people don't know where everything is.
Yeah.
And they're still confused about how they get Final Fantasy demos, and, like, how they get Animal Crossing demos. Yeah. And there's probably a ton of people that are going to the Gearbox show, even though they're just announcing DLC this year.
Yeah.
Like, I understood going to the one last year. It's like, okay, if you're a big Borderlands fan, it's going to be cool to be there.
Yeah.
But this year, it's like, whatever. Just some representational DLC. Anyway, next up we played If Found, which was Annapurna.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe someone else. Dreamfeel.
Annapurna is a publisher.
I know that.
So.
I figured, but I can't figure out one of the other logos. And in that one, you're an astronaut who's seemingly been sucked into a black hole, but also you're a mid-20s person who is sad.
I assume it's flashing back.
I thought so too. It's
metaphorical.
It's a journal. You're erasing a bunch. You like erase stuff is kind of your major mode of telling it. It seemed like it was more of a visual novel.
Yeah, it seemed like it would be better on a touchscreen.
Yeah, it was a little weird on my mouse.
Which isn't like a knock. It's just like you're erasing stuff, so it sort of would feel better if you could actually touch the screen.
Exactly. It was cool though. The visuals. It was very beautiful.
Yeah.
And affecting. To have to erase things about the character.
Mm-hmm.
But probably not one that I'm going to be looking for unless it's like $2. Because I don't value people's artistic work.
Nope.
Apparently at all. Anyway, next Emma played They Bleed Pixels.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I think if I figured it out, it would be fun, but I'm not very quick at figuring things out.
It was like a pixel platformer kind of idea.
Yeah.
They also had one called Russian Subway Dogs that we did not get to play, but was really the draw to the booth.
Yes.
There's some more pictures of us with Tom Nook. There's some pictures of that panel we went to.
I guess I didn't take notes on Holy Ocarina, actually.
Oh, I forgot. I knew there was another one we went to.
I thought so, but I didn't take notes on that one.
So we went to a panel that was about Zelda and religion, because that's my jam.
Yeah.
Any pop culture and religion. I really appreciated it, because they talked about a variety of topics, and things that meshed well with things that they talked about myth making, which is really my jam. Yeah, I appreciated that one. I won't dwell on it because we got a lot of games to get through here.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really cool too. It's definitely more your jam than mine, but I think it's really interesting to think about how much goes into world building.
Yeah.
And how to make a sort of convincing world, even if you necessarily don't really have all the answers, right? Like, why are those shrines all anywhere? Do you really think the developers know that? Maybe. Probably not.
Yeah.
But it works still because it feels right.
Exactly. Anyway, next up, we know you've been waiting to hear about it. We played Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
If you have seen the trailer, you've gotten about 50% of the demo experience.
Yeah,
so don't feel bad if you didn't get to play the demo.
Yeah, I mean, I did appreciate getting to play it because I feel like it cleared up how it actually works in my mind.
Yeah.
Even though they've done such like a detailed job presenting it.
It was a lot less boring than that freaking hour-long, like, let's show you exactly how everything about this boss battle works thing that they showed.
Yeah.
Which I was grateful for.
Yeah. The boss battle was definitely snappier than I was expecting it to be.
Me too.
And even, that was even, like, I didn't figure out that there was I didn't remember the shortcuts menu until, like, halfway through the Scorpion fight, and even with stopping all that time, it still felt pretty snappy.
Yeah.
So
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a good Link demo, like a right Link demo. Mm-hmm. Some of the demos we played did various things, and they were like, oh, it's too short, oh, it's too long. Mm-hmm. But that was, like, a nice right Link demo. They managed the line really well. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So
they had Butterfingers.
It's so weird.
Butterfinger makes your game better.
It does, apparently.
I just had some poor woman who was there both Friday and Saturday, I think.
I know.
Handing out Butterfingers
and Baby Ruths
for nothing in exchange.
Literally for nothing.
Yeah, it was just there, and they had posters there too that you could take.
Yep.
Some free scarves.
Yeah. And our last game on Thursday was Star-Crossed, which I don't know who that's by, unfortunately, because they didn't have cards. But it's like, you're like star ladies.
Yep.
Who...
Magical girls, basically.
You're magic girls, and you pass a thing back and forth between you to kill stuff.
Yeah, I really like the gameplay of it. Honestly, did not need the story because nothing was happening. I was like, just let me...
So I appreciated what they seemed to be building in that when you paired different characters, they would have different interactions.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate that. But yeah, the story was pretty surface.
Yeah. But it is co-op, so you pass it back and forth between you. But you have to think about, like, if the star is coming to you, you have to sort of hit it at the right time to make it more powerful. Mm-hmm. But your actual turn is when the other person is hitting it, because you want to move yourself so that the star will go through an enemy, which I think we both had a little trouble with.
Yeah. But it has, I don't know, anything where you're in space, kind of pixely killing stuff, always has a Galaga feel to it for me, which is a positive. Also that day we went to the Square Enix booth and got merch.
Heck yeah, we did.
So...
I got a huge Nier Automata wall scroll.
It's gigantic. And I got a Moogle hat, Kupo. Anyway, that brings us to Friday, where we started off with Fall Guys. Friday was our Battle Royale day.
Right.
So we started off with Fall Guys, which I think, uncontroversially, was both of our favorites of the Battle Royales that we played. In Fall Guys, you play as these, like, funny little... it reminds me of Little Big Planet, the kind of aesthetic of it a little bit. You play as these funny little dudes, and there's different party game events, and you're eliminated as you go along. So the first one, they had the game thing was like a race, and then they had to grab the tail off of people one, and then they had to get as many eggs as you can, and then finally another obstacle course. We got eliminated in the second round.
Because we suck. Because we're fake gamers.
The man jinxed us.
I got my tail stolen at literally the last possible second. Because I got a little overconfident at second one, I guess.
I won the first round. I was finished first in the first round.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, wow.
And how far I fell. Anyway, Fall Guys is a game that if it's free to play, I would definitely break out were I ever to live in an apartment where, like, parties could happen, if there's couch co-op, which was not clear.
For me, it has to be free to play if there's couch co-op?
Maybe not. It would have to be not expensive.
Okay. I don't think it's going to be free to play.
How often do you think I have parties? Come on.
I don't know. You could just play it with Josh.
I guess so.
Clickbait boyfriend is a party.
You heard it here first, folks.
I assume.
Anyway, it was fun. I enjoyed it. It's a fun game to watch, too, which is nice, because there's just enough going on. And supposedly there'll be like 30 different events in the real game. Yeah. Which will definitely give it a sense of different stuff. Yes. Anyway, then we played Hashtag Drive. Couldn't really figure out the controls on that one.
Yep, that was about the
Crashed a lot.
A whole impression we got on #Drive.
So we'll move on from that. Next up, apparently we saw KK Slider. Because...
Yeah, Madelyn took a lot of sort of stalkery photos of the Animal Crossing characters coming and going.
Whatever. But we also played Raw Men.
Yes, we did.
Which is from the people that made the Scary Neighbor game.
Yes. Tiny Build has made a lot of stuff and publishes a lot of stuff. But they definitely lean very hard into the neighbor for some God knows why reason.
Everywhere.
We could have bought a mask. We had enough tokens.
That would have been an anti-prize. Not getting the mask is the real prize. So Raw Men is kind of like a capture the flag style game where you're these like mostly nude
macho
burly men running around and you throw. It's not ramen, to be clear.
It's like soup,
which was a little disappointing to me, but maybe less appropriative, so whatever. But yeah, you're like throwing chowder. Mm-hmm. You can erect soup cracker walls like Fortnite.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do that.
Well, I don't know how to do it in Fortnite either, really. I did manage to do it a couple times in this game. And you can gather power-ups, and the goal is to hold on to the soup, the claim, I think we decided it was called, as long as possible. Yeah. And the goal was also apparently to make not funny little comments in a high-pitched voice.
Yeah. It was so off-brand is what it felt like. Yeah. Like, I went into that, like, expecting it to be like, oh, yes, burly macho men. And then it just has this, like, Rick and Morty thing in the background.
Somebody's taking the bird clown.
Yeah.
That's a direct quote.
Yes, it is.
Like, you think that's direct quote, direct pitch.
See, like, I wouldn't have really minded as much if it was like, oh, no, somebody's taking the bird clown. But the high-pitched voice was just so, like, I mean, I get what they're copying, but, like, it's not their brand.
And it's definitely the audience that they're trying to get with this, right? Like,
yeah. It just doesn't fit the aesthetic of it, I don't think.
Anyway, Emma and I did not come in last in our group of 5.
Thankfully.
3rd and 4th.
I got very lucky a few times where I was just really close to the flag point and everybody else was trying to come get it.
But that is something that I will say that I did appreciate about this game that I told to Emma earlier, is that there's still an ability to get points and get lucky, even if you're not very good at the game. And there's a strong aesthetic.
Yeah.
Minus the voice acting.
Yes.
Which I hope, it did not sound quality recording.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's a placeholder.
Yes.
Although why someone would record it that way is beyond me. I don't know. Anyway. Then we went to the Nintendo merch line, where we saw KK Slider, I believe.
Yes. And we got a few things.
Nothing very exclusive, but man, the Nintendo merch is insane. And then we played, I think, our last Battle Royale of the day.
Yes, Misfits.
Misbits. Where you play as a head rolling around, and you have to attach yourself to various toy bodies that give you abilities and then kill everything around you, as the woman described it to us like 5 times.
Yes. Well, she was trying to keep us entertained.
I know she was.
You can also pick up, like, additional items when you are in a toy body.
Yeah.
Like, I had a sword for a while. That was cool.
I'm not sure what they're going for with this game.
I saw them playing the soccer mode today on the screen, and I was like, that looks more fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not... It feels like they're going for a more sort of pro audience.
Because the reason for that is that they had a streamer who was playing this all day.
Yeah, like several, I think.
Well, yeah, not literally one streamer. Sorry, yeah, that would be wild.
But it's so odd in aesthetic, I guess.
Yeah. And to be fair, we played on a map that was very dark.
Yeah.
It was weirdly very dark. And it felt like this game is sort of trying to hit that Fortnite sweet spot of, it's kind of silly, but also you're going to play it seriously.
Yeah.
And this particular very dark map did not aid in that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think overall I had more fun playing it than Ramen. Just that voice acting really knocked Ramen down like a gajillion points. It should also be mentioned that these last 2 we played on keyboard and mouse, which we are not.
It's not our
proficient in. I think I was finally getting the hang of it a little bit in Misfits in terms of moving around, at least.
But it was still a lot of looking at the keyboard and being like, what button is this?
Yeah. We are not computer gamers.
I have a Mac. How would I play computer games?
Yes.
I don't have a mouse. How would I play computer games?
Exactly.
Anyway, that wasn't Friday. There was one other very big important game we played on Friday, which is Animal Crossing. Mm-hmm. This was an underwhelming demo for me.
It's a hard game to demo.
Yeah, I'm not. This is not me saying the game is going to be bad in any way. We waited in line for a long time. Like an hour.
Yeah.
Even though we had a guaranteed slot.
Yeah.
And it was entertaining while the two host guys were playing the game.
Yeah.
And getting stung by bees and then playing that stretcher game.
Yeah.
Bizarrely, for some reason.
They had, they also had Pokemon going, apparently.
Yeah. So that was entertaining, but then they stopped right as we got up to the speakers.
Yeah.
It was very loud, and we were tired.
Yes. I don't think we would have been as underwhelmed by it, or you wouldn't have been if that system had been better.
Yes, I agree.
If we had waited about as long as we had waited at Square Enix, for instance.
You're right. I think I would have felt better about it.
Yeah.
I still think, so the way that they demoed it, for those of you who were not on your iPhones at 5 p.m. the day before to get your demo pass, was they had you matched up with like a host, basically, who is the Animal Crossing worker.
Yeah. And
2 other players. And the host kind of helped show you around the town a little bit. Which felt weirdly geared toward people who had never played Animal Crossing to me, because it is not like we saw anything in the town that I was not expecting to be in the town. Or we went to the museum, we went to the Able Sisters, we went to...
I did think that the way the dress system works was fun.
Yeah, no, that's true. Not that there wasn't stuff that was kind of newish to Animal, like new refinements. But we didn't get to do that much. We mostly just walked around and saw things.
Yeah.
Which... I don't know.
You did hit a tree that led to
I did cause a little bit of chaos in that I unleashed some bees on some people. So, shaking it up just a little bit, a little spicy over here. But yeah, I would have preferred 5-minute single-player demos where you just got to run around and do whatever you wanted.
See, I don't think you would have been able to do anything in that time. I don't think you really would have liked that either.
Okay, fine. I would have preferred 10-minute single-player demos and fewer people getting the demo slot.
Yeah.
Than the weird 15 to 20-minute 3 people follow somebody around demo.
Yeah.
Because it's I get that you want something that's accessible to people that haven't played the game, but who are the people that haven't played the game that are on the app at 5 o'clock?
That guy who was with you.
I know. Apparently the guy who was with me, but I don't know how he got that slot. Does not make sense to me.
He wants to know about Animal Crossing. It's been a long time since the Animal Crossing came out.
I guess.
He didn't have a DS.
Still weird, though. It's a difficult game to demo.
Sure.
That's all. Maybe my preferred demo was we're all together in a town watching KK Slider.
Fair enough.
Sing a new song. PAX exclusive song.
And then we stayed late because we went to Supergiant in concert. And the concert was really great. Yeah, I'm really glad we went.
I was also glad that it was a nice hour 10, not 3 hours.
Yes. They sang all the hits. We got to sing along. Madelyn didn't because she doesn't know the words. We sang along to the Bastion song. The nice ones. That Bastion song, I'm not going to sing it. Because,
the wall one.
The wall one and Mother, I'm Here. Both are on my Spotify playlist along with the Transistor songs. I thought the visuals in the back were cool too. Some cool guy was running them in real time, so that was pretty cool.
He came out and waved. Yeah. And nobody saw him.
I didn't see him either.
He was like, he was like, ah! And nobody looked back. They're like, oh, he's somewhere. He's like,
somewhere in here. But I had fun with it. But then they said they're going to have merch outside, and it was just
the worst line of the conference and of maybe of my life.
Yes. We ended up ditching it after about
an hour and 15 minutes.
15 minutes of waiting. First off, they didn't really indicate where the merch table was going to be, so we got a little lost. And then they tried to set up the line, and then they left the line alone, and the line became an amorphous blob. And it was impossible to see if any progress was being made. I think there was a while where there was no one there, but people were lined up. And then they finally made big lines for people to be in, and then the line moved at like an impossible snail's pace because the merch and the autographs were the same line, which means like autographs take a long time. I'm not going to argue about the shape of the line.
I was going to say, let's not dwell on this. This is not too interesting to anyone but us.
Yes, it just, okay, if you're setting up an event, please separate your autographs and your merch. Or have a merch table that doesn't have autographs. Because that will get people in and out faster. Because autographs just take a while. Also, even if you're going fast.
Please have more than like 2 people.
Yes.
Who are the composer.
If you have about
running the merch table.
300 people waiting for your merch line, you need a few more people selling it. But that was that. So we got back late Saturday.
Yeah, we did.
And then we were very tired.
We were very tired. And then the next day we came, Pokemon cosplay clad, tried to go to the Nintendo merch booth, said, oh, they're already sold out of everything.
Yeah.
Forget it, at like 10:30.
Yeah.
And then went and played a game that really genuinely owes me royalties, called Maquette.
Yes.
Maquette.
Resemblance to persons living or dead. Apparently, it seems to be a term. Maquette is a term.
I think so, but I didn't realize it.
I learned a new word today. Mm-hmm. Maquette.
I also learned that it's not possible for me to get through PAX without breaking someone's game.
You know what? You just QA tested it.
I know. I don't feel bad about it. But last year, longtime listeners might remember, I glitched out Control because I was really bad at it. Basically. Genuinely. It really seemed to me like the game was like, you're doing so badly. Like, please. Like, I just need to quit. But in Maquette, so the basic idea of Maquette is it seems to be that you're kind of reliving this relationship through drawings. Mm-hmm. And it's a puzzle game from published by Annapurna. Mm-hmm. Developed by someone else, no doubt, but I'll look that up in a minute. And in this game, at least in the level I played, and presumably in a lot of it, because the Maquette is the name of the game. Yeah. You have this kind of scale model in the middle of the area, and by putting things by moving things in the scale model, you can make them appear in the real world in real world size. Yes. And so they're kind of in this demo, there are kind of like 4 areas that you go to. And I figured out the first one, mostly no problem. I mean, I almost ran past the bridge, but I would have come back for it. Yeah. The guy was just trying to prevent me from spending 40 minutes on the demo, which I can respect. Yeah. But then we had to get into this next area, and Emma and I had seen, as we were waiting in the line, some of the game, right? Yeah. So we knew there was this like fairgrounds area that we were going to get to. Yeah. And I picked up, in the area before that, this kind of like curved golden ticket thing. Yes. And at first we were like, we're like, okay, like obviously this goes in the Maquette because it's like bigger than a normal ticket. Yeah. Whatever. And so I go into the Maquette and I'm like, I can't figure out anywhere where this goes. Yeah. And then the guy at the table came and bless his soul, thought he was giving helpful advice. But he was trying to, like, he was coaching me and he was like, okay, so like you understand that by putting it in here, it appears bigger in the real world. And I'm like, yes, you dunce. How dumb do you think I am? Just because I'm a girl playing the game. Like, I get it. I understand. But clearly what he was trying to get me to understand is that by placing things in the real world, they appear in miniature in the maquettes. Yes. And that I could then have a ticket that was the correct size to enter the fairground by placing it out in the real world. However, when he told me, oh, things appear bigger in the thing, I was like, great, yeah, I know, thanks.
I was like, what? We were like, what if we put it down? Yeah. By the wall and made sort of a ramp because it was curved.
Yeah, so it was this curved ticket, and I was like, okay, there's a pretty low fence, so I'm going to put it down to make a ramp, and I'm going to jump over the fence.
And you did!
And I did. And when I arrived there, it spawned a scene that I had heard before, so I was like, oh, okay, like, that's fine. It didn't occur to me that the fairground scene hadn't happened. It was like fortune teller scene, and like I see them like looking at me, they're like, something didn't spawn. So I'm like, it's whatever. Like, it's fine. And yeah, it turns out I skipped a whole scene. The fairground did not emerge. Yeah. So there was going to be and because I had climbed a ramp in as opposed to opening the door, there was going to be no way for me to exit. Yeah. So
apparently this was a bug that they had discovered before because he mentioned it. Yeah. And maybe they must have changed the shape of the ticket or something to make it less likely to do that, but clearly they had not done enough. Yeah. In order, I think they just need to make the walls higher.
Yeah.
to make it clear that that's not what you're supposed to do.
Well, moreover, there needs to be some kind of tutorial where it is made clear to me that placing things in the real world causes them to appear in miniature in the maquette.
Yeah.
Because that was not intuitive to me.
Yeah.
I did find it pretty intuitive that when you put it in the model, it appears in the real world.
Yeah.
But the other way around did not feel...
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the other part, like, I think that maybe if the ramp hadn't been such, like a thing that we could do, we would have figured that out eventually.
Yeah.
But I did not like how, when you went to the fairgrounds, like, you open up the fairgrounds once you have this miniature ticket, and you go in there, and there's a little, like, dialogue sequence, I think, and then you walk around and there's nothing.
So there is this, like, kind of stuff from the diary that is appearing on the wall. So there was, like, a dialogue that appeared on the wall, which made the two of us think, okay, we need to build another ramp.
That's not what we thought.
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, what other ramp?
What I thought is, like, the dialogue had appeared when you were going in the right direction.
Right.
So I just assumed that we were in the right place.
Yeah.
But no, you have to go back to the maquette after opening up the fairgrounds to pull a lever that's behind a wall.
Yeah, that I would never have seen.
Like, that part was extremely unintuitive. Like, when you open up a new area, you assume that there's going to be something there to get or do. But no, you open up the area and then you have to go back and do something else and then go back.
Now, to be fair, playing a puzzle game demo, especially in the very public seat that I received, where everyone watching got to see me play.
Yeah, the guy in line was like, is that really the way you solve it when we did the ramp thing? And I was like, I guess
I was so glad that sympathetic man, two people in line, was like, I would have done that. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It made me feel a lot like that I wasn't just a total idiot. Yeah. He was like, I would never have known that it was going to be miniature. It's like, shout out to you, buddy. Yeah. You made me feel much better.
Yes.
Yeah, the game is really interesting. I just think puzzle games in a public demo space where your demos are a little time limited.
Yeah.
It puts a lot of stress on everyone involved.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. That's what they're there for, partially. It's both to get the word of their game out and to get good feedback from people playing it.
So I think had I been playing this in a non-public, non-time pressured thing, I probably would have enjoyed it. And I still did enjoy it. Yeah. But I probably would have enjoyed it substantially more.
But you also would have been stuck behind the walls of the fairgrounds.
Well, I would have Googled it, right? What did we learn from our adventure game panel? I was only 10 minutes into the game. I would have been like, okay, we'll start over.
But they gave us pins, and they were nice about it, so...
Yeah, no, they were nice about me breaking the game. We appreciate that.
And then I played a game...
Evolutus.
It was not good, and we can move on.
It was like a noir game. Well, Emma, it was the last game that we played.
I know, but it was,
Anyway, then
it was real rough.
Then we got some more Butterfingers.
I was surprised that was, like, that developer's, seemingly feature game.
Yeah.
Because it had, like, typos and no sound effects. And, there was a question that was, like, ... with a yes-no answer.
Yeah.
And I said yes, and then he took my gun away from me. I didn't know what I was saying yes or no to.
So, folks, that about sums up our PAX experience. We had a great time. We had a lot of great merch. We played a lot of fun games. I have a bunch of games that I now sort of have to be more on the lookout for. We saw some games that we had already seen last year that were back again, which was cool. And yeah, we'd recommend that you go. Don't go on Thursdays, though. That's our day.
Yeah, Thursdays are terrible.
They're the worst. You don't want to go on Thursday. You'd rather be at work.
Stay away.
But yeah, hopefully we'll be back again next year.
Yeah.
Emma, any closing thoughts on PAX? Any summary remarks?
I'm tired.
That's very real. So we'll wrap it up there, folks. Next week, tune in to listen to our main episode about Knights and Bikes.
And Street Fighter.
We remembered.
Yeah, I have it written up on the wall.
That helps a lot.
It does.
And in the meantime, you should follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Talk This Podcast. We're on YouTube at Talk This Sisters. Check us out on there. You can see the photos of us with Tom Nook and Isabel.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. You should also check out our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read all about the show, see the games that are in the hat, check out our blog with Clickbait Boyfriend, Split Screen. You can read about them. I'm not going to explain them today. I'm tired. And finally, you should subscribe to the show. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora, anywhere podcasts are found. You can check out Talk This. So that's it from me. Emma, do you want to give some people some parting wisdom?
Go take a nap. That's what I'm going to do.